So, Mike, what did you say at halftime to get them to penetrate the zone and attack a little bit?
Well, I just didn't think we were prepared for the game. I just didn't think mentally we were prepared. You know, we didn't do much yesterday. You know, we talked about don't take this as a reflection of the team that you're playing. It's just that we've been 4 games in 8 nights. We felt like probably what we needed was to just get up and down, get a sweat, and get away. But mentally, I just didn't think we were prepared to compete, and it showed. We were a little bit disorganized as far as running our fast break. We just got all kinds of problems. We didn't have very good spacing. We turned the ball over when we should have had buckets. I thought there was 2 things that were indicative of our aggressive in the first half. 1, 2 for 8 from the foul line. We're a 77% shooting team. We're 2 for 8, and then we have 3 fouls. And you know, you have 3 fouls. You're not. Now, granted, their shots were mainly away from the basket, but I still felt like they were out hustling some loose balls, and we were not very attentive to detail. So, you know, we talked about respecting your opponent, respecting the game, and that there's really no excuse for that. I don't think they felt very good about it. We didn't get very good ball movement. Everybody was hanging on to the ball, kind of looking to see if they couldn't make the terminating pass, and the ball wasn't moving. We weren't getting the ball to people that need the ball in spots that they need it.
Is that, in the course of this non-conference part of your schedule, is this somewhat not predictable, but understandable that this would happen for an opponent that's
well, see, that's where you're wrong, and that's where you guys are always screwed up. Is that basketball is different from football. This is McNeese State won 22 games last year. They won the league and they had everybody back. There's a lot of teams around the country that can play basketball, and you make the assumption that because it's McNeese State they can't play, and it's not true. They were in the same tournament we were in, by the way, last year. Get my drift?
Yeah.
They were in NIT, we were in the NIT. So you make this assumption based on name of school that, i.e., they can't be good. And that's not the way it is in basketball. Never has been. That's why you're seeing people lose to people that you're seeing right now across the country. You're seeing games, you go, oh, look at that, what happened? Well, it's probably against a team that was a pretty good team that has good players, seniors, juniors, that have won. And that's why basketball is so competitive, and you can't fall into that deal. There's 340 schools that have 13 full scholarships. I mean, there's a lot of kids that play basketball out there. So there's nothing that says McNeese State was not a good basketball team. Now, should we have played better? Could we have played better? Yes, absolutely, no question about it. But we can't fall into that trap that says, well, we're supposed to beat them. I mean, Denver was a good basketball team to me, and but I don't think anybody even bothered to stop and figure that out. When they beat St. Mary's by 16 there or whatever, that was enough for me. And there's just a lot of good kids, and they have a good system that's good and forces you to prepare. And if you're not ready to handle that stuff, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Is that something you have to guard against with your players? I mean,
sure, they're human. They're no different than anybody else. They don't. The names. I told them before the game that years ago, I sat down and we drew up a schedule of big name schools. Everyone was like, oh wow, look at that. And their records were like all 30% wins, because none of them were very good that year. But they had the name, but they weren't very good. So if you could have got the schedule, you could have had an unbelievable record. And the schedule would have looked like, oh, wow, and it happens. People are up and they're down and so forth. And a lot of it has to do with veterans and tradition of the program and having seniors and juniors that have won before. And it's just, there's a lot of teams.
Mike, I know it's Sunday, but can you talk about San Diego State and what they've caught your attention at all so far?
They're really good. They've got some guys. I mean, San Diego State's kind of found a niche in that they've gotten just kickbacks. They almost recruit to get guys that are bounce backs. The kid from Washington State who was a good player that kicked back, and they've got a bunch of guys like that. And he's done a really good job. They've got it going right now. They draw really well. They're excited about their basketball. Gosh, they beat Arizona. They beat SC. They beat Santa Barbara. They're good.
And is that how they are able to reload even when they lose a lot of guys?
They have
like
guys
did
sitting
last
out
year?
typically, yeah.
Yeah.
You have guys sitting out pretty much. And they keep a real close track on who's leaving where, you know, and they're comfortable with that. They feel like they can get kids on bounce back and that are good players. Like I said, the kid from Sacramento, his name, they got Tapley, and there's another one too. They're good. That's going to be a huge challenge for us.
Are you eager to see how you respond again on the road against another high-level team?
Well, yeah, you know, we won at home pretty much. Although we did have a nice win against Georgia, but you know, a real good team on the road with like Missouri, that was, you know, well, now how do we handle, how do we react to that? So we'll see a little bit here. I mean, San Diego, it's still a big deal for them to play us, you know, Pac-12 too, and they're gonna have a good crowd, and it's gonna be a really competitive game from the standpoint of their preparation and their motivation.
Richard shooting the three, is that something you have him look for or
No.
are comfortable with?
No, has he made one yet?
1 for 5, made his last one tonight.
Made one tonight?
It said the score, I made it.
3? No, I
I
don't
made
think
it.
so. No.
Over 5 then.
Well, we have, you know, we're trying to get the kids to play really high percentage basketball. We were open in a lot of places. You know, we've tried to dunk layups where we've gone and we've not been able to get them down because we weren't either far enough ahead or in a rhythm. So we've not gotten the 2 points that we thought we should have gotten there. And I know kids like to dunk. I would like to be able to dunk. But, you know, you also have to look at the game and say, if you got 100% or take 100%, or why turn it into a lower percentage shot? And that's me, the way I think, and that's not the way everybody thinks. But that's how I think. Take the 100% play, you know. And I thought second half we did a much better job of doing that. You get up 20 and you're up 20 and you're cruising late in the second half, dunk it, go for it, you know, because it's not going to kill you. But it's a momentum changer, especially on the road. When you're on the road, you go try to dunk the ball and you don't get a crowd just gets all over you, and it can really be a momentum changer. So, you know, I want guys to take shots they can make. It's about as simple as that.
Richard seems to be doing a little bit better job on the boards.
He is.
Come on the past.
Had some blocks and was better on the boards, and we just got to get him to finish up inside. Had some real good looks at it and wasn't able to finish.
What do you think was the switch for him? What kind of turned on the light bulb?
Oh, I don't know.
I haven't said anything about Jorge tonight. He gave you 11 to 15.
Didn't ask.
Lots of boards, lots of assists.
Are you asking about Jorge?
I am.
Okay.
So that's leading him
He
to
did a really good job. I didn't think he was as good defensively as he can be in the first half, but you know, I thought that he very subtly kind of took over the game, and you know, if you look statistically, you know, 5 assists, 7 boards, very good shooting percentage, does what Jorge does. I mean, you have to have somebody, and Jorge again was very quietly efficient. He just did his job. I think probably of anybody, he was the one guy that was more in a position where he did what he does than several other of our guys, which weren't necessarily in positions to do what they do.
Like, you still, I know, trying to build your depth and get beyond a 7.
Yeah,
You only got scoring out of about 3 guys.
I know. We got to get some more guys that can score the ball. Justin's been one of the guys. I think that Harper's got to get more consistent with where he gets the ball, what he can do inside, get the line more. You know, the bench thing's problematic, only from the standpoint that if you're up 16 points or whatever and you make 2 or 3 substitutions, I can't afford to have swings. You know, I mean, I can't. If you go in and play 4, 5, 6 minutes and gain 2 points or lose 2 points, play pretty much even, I'm okay with that. You know, doing what they do. But if we go in and every time we do that, we lose our momentum or have an 8-point swing, that's not going to work. I can't just keep putting the guys back in and expect them to build it back up again. So we'll continue to work at our depth.
Mike, did you like Jorge's job with the mop?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, I did.
We're kind of hoping you would do that.
Well, we'd have to go down from the press row to get the mop.
We'd just be starting now.
Yeah, delay the game too much.
No, Jorge's a great kid.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, welcome.